Hey gang, well it's been a while since I've made these workout videos and I figure time to change things up a little bit. So here we go. Today is pull-up day. I'm still working very much along the lines of the Veterano Plus program, but of course it's no longer called Veterano Plus. Now we're working with CC Plus, which is a combination of both building muscle and strength work and skill work, because you need both the ability to be strong and skillful when it comes to building muscle and strength with calisthenics. So the CC Plus ebook, if you haven't downloaded it yet, it's free. Just head over to reddeltaproject.com, click on the image, and it's yours. So today is the pull-up day. This is my building sets, as I like to call it. And what we're doing today is I'm changing things up a little bit because I've been reading this great book called Neuro-Mass and by John Bruni. I met John at the Dragon Door Health and Strength Conference, and it's really changed a lot of how I approach just fitness in general, but especially building muscle and strength, because now I'm starting to understand that building muscle, building strength is not a muscular process so much as it is a neurological process. And so what John lays out in this book are these things called Neuro Sets, where you go from one extreme to the other as far as how you're neurologically engaging your muscles. So what I'm doing with this is I have grinding reps, which you saw earlier. These are my explosive pumping fast reps, even though they don't look very fast. At the end there, I'm going as fast as I possibly can. And then an isometric, as you see here. You can't kind of see in the background there is my laptop. I've got a stopwatch going on my laptop with just a sweeping hand. I find a sweep hand is really good for these workouts where you need to time things like rest periods or how long you're holding an isometric. That way you're not hitting buttons and starting the watch and stopping the watch. It's just a constantly moving sweep hand. So that's a basic neuro set. You have grinding reps, you have pumping reps, and then you have an isometric. I'm not editing this video because I wanted to give you guys a bit of an idea of what my actual building workouts are like. I don't spend a lot of time working out. In fact, the bulk of my muscle building workouts are probably no more than about 10 minutes a day. I really don't have these long, hour-long workouts. I used to do it that way, but now with Veterano Plus, if you do something like Good Behavior Plus or something, it may be closer to 20 minutes, but really it's not a long workout, and especially with these neuro sets, because these neuro sets are absolutely brutal. They are very hard on the body, very hard on the nervous system. You're going to see me, I've got 3 sets here. I have about 1 minute of rest in between each set. And I have 3 sets here, but I don't recommend starting off with the 3 sets right away. You probably want to start off with just 1. Even with doing 3, this is really hard on me. I really am feeling like it may be a bit too much. I may downgrade to 2 sets and let my body and nervous system kind of get used to it, because 3 is feeling quite punishing right now. And I've always been in that crowd of stimulate, don't annihilate. You don't have to beat your muscles into submission in order to make them get bigger and stronger. You have to just simply program them with new information or better information, which is really what these neuro sets are all about. So I did my grinder sets, these are my pumper sets. In general, I'm finding that the pumper sets are about a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you get like 3 grind reps, then you do like 6 pump sets. And you can also see I've significantly regressed the technique on these pull-ups. I don't know what step this is in convict conditioning, but this is, I think, 2 steps below normal pull-ups. And the reason for that is because once you've done your grinders and you're doing your explosives, you need to use a pretty lower level of resistance. If you're using weight with this, although I find body weight is really good with neuro sets, then you'll probably use about half the weight than you normally would for your pumper sets. And then of course the isometric is usually holding a position of what you would use for your pump sets. So 2 down, 1 to go. I'm just kind of staying loose during the minute. I'm keeping an eye on that stopwatch out in the background there, keeping the muscles relaxed, trying to recover as best as I can, getting some of the burn out of the muscles so I can be as fresh as possible within a minute. And again, turning to a timed rest period I find is so key to keeping a nice consistent level of intensity with your workouts. If your workouts have like 1 minute one day and then you've got 3 minutes the next day, you've got different levels of fatigue in the muscle from one workout to the next, and your numbers can be thrown off because you could do more reps and say, oh, I did 10 pull-ups the time before and now I've got 12, but if you have a longer rest period, you're actually not any stronger. So I highly recommend Time your rest periods. About a minute is good. Some people find 45 seconds. Play it by ear. A large part of your workouts is about experimentation. Don't just take this workout that you see here and follow it rep by rep and cookie cutter it and so forth. Your best workout is going to be different than my best workout, because ultimately your success doesn't depend on the routine or exactly what you do, it's how you do it. So as they say, run your own race or do your own routine. So here we go with my pump sets, trying to keep everything squeezed in as tight as I possibly can. You can see things are getting wider, my elbows are getting wider. I'm just getting tired at this point. My back, biceps, shoulders, everything's about shot. And also, I'm using my new suspension straps here. These are my new suspension ropes. These are even simpler, cheaper, and easier to make than my other ones that I've made in the past. So I'll be making a video on these in the near future, so look for that as well. I think these maybe cost me $10 to make. Very cheap and absolutely bulletproof. And like I was saying, sometimes you just want to be a little creative with your workouts, and so I felt, let's get some single arm rows, recline rows, single arm rows. I've been doing this because I've been experimenting with how the lats in the back contract to pull everything inwards towards the center line. When you do this to a higher degree, there's a lot less torque on your torso and your body as a whole when you are doing unilateral movements. I'm feeling a lot stronger, a lot more solid, and just feeling good and strong. And I was like, hey, I feel like doing this today. And that's the only reason I really needed to have to jump in and get some single arm rows. So really, you want to have a mix of structure and have a little bit of free form and experimentation and just playing around. I find that's good for the mind as well, because if you just keep doing things exactly by the book, it just gets old and stale. So these are the skill sets. CC Plus uses skill sets. I did them afterwards here. Today what I'm doing is I'm experimenting with what I call a pulsing set. So you come down in the bottom position, you just kind of bounce there a little bit. You're not necessarily bouncing, but you're doing these controlled pulses, and that builds up the tension, builds up the stability in the most difficult position of the exercise. Just a few sets. Remember, skill sets are not meant to be a very highly fatiguing type of exercise. Pistol squats, this is really enlightening. The first few times I started doing pulsing on pistol squats, balance wobbling all over the place, greatly improving my pistol squat performance by putting these pulses in. And I'm not doing a whole lot. You'll only see me doing a couple of sets here. That's all you need. Skill sets are not meant to be long, drawn out. Of course, you can read this again in more detail in the CC Plus manual over at reddeltaproject.com. Yeah, put my hand down there. Here's the thing, guys. I am not perfect. These moves are a struggle for me. I am working really hard. Technique is often faltering. Don't look at me and think, oh my goodness, he's got like this muscle and strength. Everything's perfect. I am struggling. I mess up as much as anybody every single workout. I make mistakes. My technique erodes. Something is missing every single time. Nothing is ever perfect in my workouts. I mean, here, for my flexion chain, the leg raises, I was like, oh, I just feel like doing them on the ropes today. Why not? And that really was quite humbling experience. My back wasn't nearly as tight as I wanted it to be. My range of motion was not as good. And then I've got my table bridges. I really like these table bridges. They're just fantastic for the hips. I'm working on keeping my lats tight in this one today and got the pulsing going on, pulling my hips up and forward, getting the hamstrings engaged. Feeling real strong and really good with these, super happy about them, and at the end of the day, that's what matters most. So that is my workout. Check out Neuro-Mass down below, and don't forget, be fit and live free.